My name is Alex. I'm Alex The Astronaut. I have ASD, so that's like one of the reasons maybe we could chat. One of the things we could chat about today.
Sure. Not just about that, but it'll
Not
come
just
up.
about that. One of those things that we could chat about. I went to Billie Eilish last night. She was fantastic. I got the jumper and the shirt.
Rocking the merch as we speak.
I did, yeah. It's actually the best merch I think I've bought.
Quality-wise?
It's really good,
Or
yeah.
design?
It's actually like proper clothes. It's not like...
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Saw Billie Eilish at Coachella.
Okay, it wasn't...
Really tough at night on that main stage because the sound travels because of the wind. Didn't do it for me. I heard it was great when she was in Australia. Please correct for me.
Yeah, it really was. And I can see that because I think it's a very... I don't know, like it's a spectacle show and her voice is quite beautiful. So if you're in the party, you know...
Yeah.
Yeah, but
She's
also
got a lot of other distractions.
DJ.
She does that beautiful, like, not
like-
singing.
Yes.
Like that she jokes about it herself, you know, when people just say that she...
Give us a demo.
Yeah, please.
I
Go on.
would never,
I would
Do
really
it. Go on,
like
mate.
I
that.
would never try.
Come on. Do it for us.
No, because I'm trying to think of some of the... It's so poetically beautiful and haunting the way that she can sing, but it's... No, do you know what?
us
It's
a demo.
quiet.
Yeah.
There you go, Alex is helping. But it's quiet,
Airy,
you know?
yeah.
Airy.
A lot of air.
So-
So, it's air travels.
Airy and Coachella main stage is like 80,000 people. Windy, airy.
Yeah.
So you're like, you hear part of it
Becomes a
and then you
whisper.
go like, well, just where did it go? You know what I
Way
mean?
to go.
Yeah.
And last night, in the controlled circumstances of what she's designed, because Coachella, you rock up to a festival with their inputs. It was great.
And like, yeah, it's kind of amazing to see, I don't know how many people are at Kudos, but it's a lot, scream, like you cannot hear her sing because
That's
of
what
the
I've
people
heard.
singing. Like, I'm sure it's similar to like Harry Styles or something. Like you just can't.
Were you saying, shut up, I'm trying to
Yes,
appreciate the vocals?
Seriously, I was like, shush,
it's
you
like-
are not the stars here.
It's like actual
girl.
squealing though.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Harry Styles and you're like, what's that sound? Is someone getting hurt? Like it's like just
like-
an hour and a half.
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's
Yeah.
like when people come watch you though.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Question then for you about ASD. Can you explain just what people might not know what the acronym means?
Oh, sorry, yes. Autism spectrum disorder.
Yes. So you...
I just
Am
signed
I
it.
holding this wrong?
no, that's perfect.
Okay, that's okay.
You
Perfect.
sound great.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I hate the word disorder. I don't know why. That gives
Yeah,
me-
disorder feels wrong.
not a disorder.
It feels bad.
I mean, it is a disorder, but like, it just, I hate the word disorder. It just gives me like this weird, like it's like, you know, I got corrected by, pick up the name right here, Prince Harry.
Oh, did
because
you?
I interviewed him and I said, because I was told a lot of people in Invictus Games have PTSD, and so post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder. And I was like, he goes, it's not a disorder. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not. Like disorder's a bad word. It's just PTS, post-traumatic
Yeah.
stress disorder. You don't need to say it. And I was like, that's actually way better. You know what I mean? I don't know why disorder.
Have you thought
Harry.
about this for like the... Because you just...
It's got a real negative connotation to
Yeah.
You
it.
identified yourself as ASD. I mean,
What's
you
this what
could have
you
said
do?
AS, right? Or is it because
I don't know.
for a majority it's ASD, that's what we know it as?
I've never thought about
Yeah,
it.
and look,
Cool.
I might be speaking out of turn for people who are neurodiverse. They might love it. I'm just personally not a big fan of the disorder word.
Yeah, disorder. It's and like I have ADHD as well, so it's like the same. You're like, oh,
Attention deficit disorder.
yeah,
Yeah. Or hyperactive disorder. So once again, a disorder.
Yeah,
just
I'm
making
very disordered.
What about
Very out of
disorganized?
order. Oh, I'm super disorganized.
Yeah.
Triple D. Triple D. So with your AS,
Yeah.
being on the autism
Ass.
spectrum, with your ass.
No, it's as.
Let's talk about your
Your
ass.
ass.
Let's talk about your ass last night. So when you perform and you've just come
Yeah.
off 13 to a date,
12.
12 to a date, you can control the environment that you are as the actor as much as you can with the venues and your processes going into it, for example.
Yes.
What about when you go to somewhere like a Kudos Bank Arena, which is just the arena, I think formerly known as like, you know, whatever, Acer Arena.
Just your old Laver version, but in Sydney. Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that sorry, pause. Is that the tennis one as well?
Rod Laver
Kudos?
Arena.
No, Kudos isn't.
There's no tennis in there.
Oh, in Sydney, yeah, they play tennis for that Atypic Cup, but no one really
not
goes.
really.
No,
Okay.
no, as like a novelty sort
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's where the basketball gets played.
Right, because they were
NBL.
the screens. Okay,
Yeah.
I was trying to work out what
Yeah.
it converted into.
Yeah.
For those shows, I have like 3 types of earplugs. I have like my rehearsal ones, which are like a bit stronger because the drums are a meter from me. And then I have like ones that I wear that are really thin that are just like if I'm just like a little bit like in a loud environment, like in a bar or something, if there's just too many people talking, I can put them in. It just takes a layer off. And then I have like concert ones, and they're like, they were made by this guy who went to, I think he was American, and he went to lots of, I can't remember, I think they're called Vibes. And they were made by a guy that goes to like raves. And he made these earplugs just so he could go to more raves. And then all of these autistic people, like parents and stuff of kids who had autism.
Did he have autism?
He didn't have autism.
Oh, he just likes it.
Wow.
And he wasn't making it for people with autism. He just wanted to go raving. And then
So what does it do? Blocks out?
it just I think it just
Bass.
takes bass, takes a lot of that like really high, and like the screaming obviously was
Yeah.
going to take out a bit of that.
Good mate of mine, Dom Dollar, he won't mind me saying this, I think, hurt his ears, not wearing earplugs. He wears those ones now.
Right.
And I was at Coachella on stage. He's like, put your earplugs in, Dylan.
Yeah.
Like he's like my earplug dad. And he's like, mate, one day, and I learned, I was like, oh wow, when you're up there all the time, every day.
Yeah.
We all enjoy it once a month or once a year as a festival, but
Sure.
if it's your job,
It's loud.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you just think about like the PA, for instance, at Coachella or something like that, they're trying to project to people that are 100 meters away and you're standing next to it. Those little, that stuff in
that
your
ringing when you get
little,
home.
What's that called? Eardrum is
Yeah.
getting.
So did you realise
slammed.
when you're at a gig, do you realise that you're stimming, as it is known sometimes in the, like you're getting this, like the stimulus is a bit too much for hearing and you start reacting to it, or do you?
Yeah, like I get it with strobe lights. I really hate strobe lights, and I have since I was little. And that was one of the things where, like, yeah, I guess it could have been noticed when I was, 5, because strobe lights just, I couldn't deal with them. I closed my eyes and stuff, and then like, yeah, with the sound combined. So with Billie Eilish, there's a lot of like, it can hit those really dramatic parts where there's strobes and loud sounds, and then people get excited and they start screaming. So then, yeah, and I've never tried like visual, like I've never worn sunglasses inside or anything. I usually just close my eyes if there's lots of strobe lights, and then I'll wait for it to stop, and then I come back.
Sorry, I'm on a roll.
No, I love this.
Do you choose your seats on the side of an arena so you don't look directly at it, or do you like getting amongst it because of the music?
Yeah, I don't mind. I've never really changed where I'm sitting based on anything. It's just like the only thing would be is like if I'm right next to a speaker, I'll move.
Okay.
Last night, Billie Eilish, did you wear the middle?
I wore the concert ones, so I wore like the rave guy ones.
Okay, you wore the rave guy ones, the full ones, right? And
Well, they're
lucky
not
you
full,
did.
they're like medium. So the full ones are the ones I wear for rehearsals.
Rehearsals
because
because you need the drums.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have worn noise cancelling just for the 15-year-old screams that would have been going on.
And can we just,
was loud.
this has nothing to do with disability. If you are a fan of an artist, yes, there is
Stop
obviously
screaming.
opportunities to sing along and stuff, but I've had people screaming that song like Harry Styles, which we keep using as an example, is like a One Direction concert. Like they're going to point you out from 150 metres away and go, great singing, Louise! But you can't hear them because you're getting drowned out by old mate next to you. Just enjoy the concert. Sometimes sit there, and then when you need to participate. But I'm also 34 and old.
You're washed out. You're pretty washed.
I'm washed out.
Washed out?
Is
Washed
that
out?
old?
Washed out?
Oh, look, it's...
Washed up.
Our last guest made me feel
How old are
very
you?
old.
27.
Oh, God, you're young as well.
Yeah, I knew that. That's why I said I feel like I'm getting grey hairs.
Yeah, I mean,
You just gave me a bit of side eye.
yeah,
Angry.
He's cracked it.
So, in May 2021,
May 2021. Yes.
that's when you sort of publicly announced that you were part of the
Oh,
disability
yeah.
community, or your AS.
Was that the
That was the
comedy skit?
Yeah.
That was the comedy set. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was pretty funny because Matt O'Kine and I were working together on something, and then he was like, "Why don't you do a comedy set?" Because like between my songs, sometimes I'll like write jokes and
And you're
prepare
funny.
them before.
And you're funny. I'll give you
Stop
that.
it,
No, you
stop
are.
it.
You're good.
Thank
it's a
you
good
so
show to
much.
watch.
Thank you
Because
so
it's
much.
unexpected too. Like, I didn't know that about you. And then I was like, oh, that's really quite good. Which is always what you want. That's the prize factor.
It's better than it being very bad. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, we're friends now. I'll tell you if it's not.
Yeah, good, please. But yeah, so he was just like trying to do it because it was a bit of a challenge. Like I wasn't touring, and then it got to the day before, and I realized because I usually wing it a little bit, like I prepare for my own shows, but I've done it so many times I know which lines to pull out and like where to like
Yeah, of course.
just go up,
Yeah.
like just go with what's going on. And
In a sense, you've rehearsed all different scenarios of what can happen on stage. Yeah.
Whereas with comedy, you can't go to a song, you know? And I didn't really put that together till the day before. And then I went,
you could do Flight of the Conchords stuff.
My God, I'm going to stand on this stage for 5 minutes and strangers are going to look at me. And so I went to my rehearsal studio and I just was like, okay, what's been going on? And yeah, the diagnosis was something that had happened. And I guess I had like a few silly thoughts about it. Like I thought like, oh, it's kind of similar to coming out. Like it's kind of similar to telling people about your sexuality, and like it's kind of funny how people react. And so I tried to put that all together, and then it went on the internet, and then Triple J was like, oh, you've got autism. And I was like, yes. And they were like, would you like to come and hack? And I was like, oh God, okay. I guess I've autism come out or something.
Yeah. We've spoken about that. People have felt the same about that experience of, you know, kind of telling my parents or telling my friends, hey, I've got a disability.
Well, it's an interesting one when you're neurodiverse because, like, you know, I got a tumour on my back. I'm a paraplegic. You can get a hearing test. You're deaf, right? So many people don't know till later in life that they're on the spectrum, got ADHD, whatever. Before we talk about that moment of when you, like, really went public and talked about it on the radio, what was that journey for you? Because you even said when you were 5, God, I had strobe lights, but no one really made that connection. When did you officially get diagnosed, but what was it like before?
I got diagnosed in like January 2021. But before that, like, I mean, one of the reasons I think I didn't get diagnosed for so long because I moved a lot. So no one had like a long view of my development because it's a developmental disorder is what it's called. But like, yeah, you can see elements of it all the way through. And when you do the test, like they go back to when you were 5, 4, 3, how did you go learning to read, blah, blah, blah. And I think the thing that I found out about myself was all the way through, I was lucky enough, and like I'm not trying to be arrogant, but because I was quite clever, I was good enough at school, I could get through that element. I kind of flew under the radar because
good grades covers it,
Yeah, it wasn't really noticed. I think if I had, I don't know, suffered a little bit more in terms of like schoolwork or noise in a classroom, and I couldn't listen, then maybe someone would have noticed. But I did just kind of, I don't know, get by with in the academic sense, but socially there were always things. Like there was moving schools, I would really not know how to, and especially as I got older into the high school years when social stuff gets so much more complex, and you start to have groups and people that you hang out with and don't hang out with for a reason, and there's so much more. And for someone that's, I think, on the spectrum, it becomes so much more difficult to build those relationships because there's so much more involved. And like, that's where I started to suffer, like around 14. And because I'd moved so much, I didn't have those ally people that you could just go to who understood me. It was just like, and I had so many special interests. Like I loved soccer, played soccer throughout school, played tennis, did athletics. They were my things that I really loved, but that's not cool when you get to high school. It's not cool to have these special interest areas. It's not cool to really dig deep on stuff.
Excuse me. My whole life was just playing tennis. Am I not cool? Did you just out me as a not cool person?
No, definitely not.
100%. And I think
Alex just got me not cool.
Would you like me to post up your school photo again? Yeah, it's one of my. Here you go to the people watching this on social and Instagram.
I'm
and
not cool.
Well, it depends if you're at a boys' school or a girls' school.
That's
or a mixed
true, actually.
school. It's like if you're a boy, then yeah, playing sport is cool. But if you're a girl, it's not. And like
that sucks as well. That's like one of my biggest regrets at school is I had a good singing voice.
Yeah,
I was in the Australian Boys Choir and everyone started playing the instruments. It's quite hard for me to play an instrument. You got to carry it, whatever. Yeah. Mum's like, you should sing.
Yeah.
I'll get you singing lessons. And I was like, singing? Lame. I'm going to play sport.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't cool.
Exactly.
To sing. And I'm like, man, I wish I sang.
Yeah.
You know, because then my voice broke.
You still can.
Yeah, it was literally like that episode of The Simpsons where I think it was Homer who was in the choir. It's like, oh, like, my son's got a god voice. It breaks on stage. Now we're stuck with this.
Yeah. You would have a beautiful voice.
Well, you can give me some lessons, and next time we come on together, we'll sing.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
I like that.
It's a beautiful voice until you have to try and translate it for captions.
Oh.
Auto captions has no idea.
Auto captions, nothing. We have to manually.
Really?
I'm fine. Like right now, what you're seeing below, if you're watching this online, automatically captured for Dylan.
I think it's because
Right now, I just typed that out.
the caption
Manually.
robot just falls in love with me because of my voice, and then it just
Stop
can't.
it.
What do you
It
reckon?
just taps out.
I wish it had that technology where it kind of learned. Do you know, it's like a simulating learning.
You give them enough words.
No,
And it,
we have to manually type Dylan. Otherwise, it's like it's
Actually,
just like
He's
gruff
roasting you.
voice.
did you have a little something in the back of your mind that might have been like, I might have something here, or because it was never even pointed out, you had no idea?
I had no idea. And like, I think until I was late high school, like 16, I got moved schools because I didn't like the school that I was at. Wasn't clicking with the people. And when I got moved schools, I'd had a lot of sleeping issues. And like, it's funny because you try and piece it together retroactively, but you can't. Like, you can say maybe I was having sleep issues because there was something sensory that I wasn't picking up on, or maybe I was having, but I don't really know. And then when that happened, I got sent to a sleep psychologist, and I was lucky enough to have, my mum went to the school and they had a sleep for teenagers, like, I don't know, speaker or something. And she went up to the speaker and said, my daughter doesn't sleep. What do I do? And then, you know, like, she did that. She made sure that she saw that problem and went, let's fix that. And so when I went there, it's very CBT, like, you know, that you have a thought, they try and help you with that thought.
What's CBT?
CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, where they try and treat you based on like help you adapt with your thoughts.
Yeah, what you're thinking, and then they try and go, oh, let's work with that. If that makes sense. Not actual like disability or like in base. It's more like
And so for that, like, it didn't really help, but it's nice to talk about your feelings. Like, it helped in that sense. It was like, but it never fixed anything. And I think I always was like, this isn't, like, because they tried me on like some medications and they didn't work. And I was like, oh, this is strange. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm just got to pretend that it's working. So like, I was always like, I feel better, I guess. And like, I slept a bit better. And then, so it was always kind of, I guess, they never gave me a full diagnosis, but it was presumed that I had anxiety or something, some sort of anxiety issue. And then I went to college in America to play soccer. And that's the thing. It was like, oh, Alex's anxiety is going up. But more than likely it was, I didn't have my support network. It was a completely new environment. I was sleeping in a room with 2 other people because at college you share. Sensory wise, you know, there's so much going on. For someone with ASD, that's going to really kick you in, and your routine, you know, place. You're in a new country. I didn't know anyone in the whole continent. Like, but that was like, oh, she's got anxiety. So they sent me to the doctor in the US and they were like, oh, you should take this clonazepam. And I called my home doctor and they're like, don't take any of the American drugs there.
Yeah, they love
a drug.
Sorry, the generalisation, but they love like, just take this hectic drug you can get at the chemist. You're like, are you sure I need that?
Really?
Yeah,
really
I studied there as well for 2 years and I was like, hang on, I've had like heaps of medicines every day for my life to live.
Yeah.
Why have they never just whipped this one out?
Yeah.
Check with your doctor. I almost got one when I was there. It was like a full steroid. I would have got a drug ban, like a 6-year drug ban.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, lucky I checked.
Yeah.
I was like, and it was just like over the, just go get a script.
Wow.
And I was like, I would have been gone. Yeah.
Oh, they tried to give me like benzo, like really hectic drugs. And like,
People
I just
rap about benzo, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
that's why that's why I was like, this is bad. And then I called my home doctor and they're like, don't take these.
Benzo, rolling in the benzo.
Yeah, and oxys. They gave me oxys.
I think that's
I didn't take
Mercedes
them,
Benz
though.
they're talking about.
Yeah, but the benzo rolling in the benzo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you with me?
Okay, double
Benzo
reference.
diazepam, I believe.
Yeah, I've heard of those ones.
Yeah, no good. And then like, I kept going to the psych and I guess the anxiety was the misdiagnosed thing. And I kept going, it sounds about, I guess, I don't know. But I wasn't super anxious. Like I was pretty black and white about things. With my friends, I wasn't. So it was always a bit like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
But then when they got the diagnosis, it added up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was ever in my head, like, I think I'm autistic. I'm never, like, I haven't been diagnosed, but I could be. It was just like, it wasn't presented to me. It was presented to me as anxiety.
I'm not saying that, obviously, I'm not neurodiverse, I haven't got ASD, but I just don't think people can understand how hard, say, staying in a dorm room is.
Oh, yeah.
With multiple people when you didn't know you had autism. And they're snoring, moving, doing anything, and you're just getting stimmed because of it. And you'd just be like, why can't I sleep? You know when people can't sleep and you just close your eyes as hard as you can?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. And then you would have been like, oh, wow, I get it.
Yeah, well, the good thing was, I think, with school, like I was getting stressed during the day, but because I was so tired because of how much we were training, I was going straight to sleep. So that was one good thing, I guess. I was just so like, we'd run so much or whatever, I'd get to the... But then like in my second year, I did like ask for extra scholarship. I did like, in America, you do honours within your school time. You don't do it at the end, like in Australia. So I asked to do honours so that I could get my own room.
Isn't that amazing? I'll become more academic just to have a good night's
Please,
sleep
no
by
one
myself.
talk to me.
What did you study again?
Maths and physics.
Yeah, that's why the astronaut. See, seems smart.
Oh, I didn't make that connection.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a cool connection.
Yeah.
Right, that was a bit of inside knowledge I didn't know, but I was acting dumb to try and get out of here. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is looking back though, because you said you only got diagnosed, was it January last year?
Yes.
Like got the diagnosis. Can you now look back and go, like, not, oh, I'm an idiot, but like, you're like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense that I I'm autistic. Like,
yeah.
even though you're getting sort of misdiagnosed with anxiety, can you in yourself go, oh my God, there's a flag.
And how do they miss it, as well?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things is like, I mean, the one thing I've had to learn is to say more of the things I'm thinking. Like, because I guess inadvertently you're taught all the way through what to say and what not to say. But with someone with autism, you're trying to pick up all the rules. Like, it's like they talk about like someone with autism doesn't have the rule book with someone without it. Like a neurotypical person has the rule book. They just scroll through and they get to know what's going on. It's inbuilt in them. Whereas someone with ASD is flicking through, trying to work out, trying to write everything down, trying to figure out how it works. And so I think the difference between that is like someone without ASD is picking up the rules, but in a really relaxed way. They've already got them. They can add to them really quickly. They can take away really quickly. Whereas someone with ASD, it's like, if you write one down, it's like, okay, this must be it. And so to undo some of those, like when I was 5 and I was playing soccer, one of my friends, and this is not nice, but I told her, you're not very good at soccer. You didn't, I don't know what you did wrong, and it wasn't nice, but I remember them saying, like, don't say that. That's not nice. And it's not. You shouldn't say that to people.
And you're like, why?
I thought I was giving her helpful information.
It's like, you should stop this. You're wasting your time. Pursue other hobbies.
You shouldn't, yeah.
That's so funny. Well, that's the bluntness of what we know to be most
and so I am the complete opposite of that. I would never say that. Whereas after been trying to diagnose, trying to tell everyone what they're bad at.
This podcast sucks.
Because you're like, I'm allowed to. I've been diagnosed. And
autistic.
you are crap. I'm autistic. See you later. Oh, that's some good stuff.
You released your album
Yes.
this year called How to Grow a Sunflower Underwater. It does discuss in there as well about your diagnosis. Or PTSD?
Oh, yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah. So
I'm disordered.
Which I did say PTS. I should have said. My apologies.
No,
Oh,
you
no, you can say whatever you like. I've never
PTSD.
said something.
I
I've
don't-
never said the other one. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, you can-
PTS and A. Look, I'm just trying to.
We're just saying you can
conform.
say whatever you want. I'm just I just like it better. It's cleaner.
Interesting. Yeah.
Cleaner.
And the autistic spectrum. You kind of talk about both of them.
Oh, yes.
Is there a lyric in particular that stands out most for you off the album that sort of is more poignant to your diagnosis and your disability?
Well, I tried to put, I put all of the ASD stuff into Octopus.
Octopus, yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting with, interviews for the album because, and I think it's, I didn't give, song by song, this song is about this song is not about this, So people, when they were interviewing me about it, they were like, this album is about your diagnosis with autism. And I was like, that's so interesting because it's absolutely not. 1/10 of it is. And
Literally.
I think, literally 1/10. 10% is about that and 90% isn't. And I think with disability, it's interesting when, I guess within media, sometimes it wants to be narrowed in on in a way that's I don't want to say tokenistic, but kind of
You can say tokenistic.
Tokenistic, yeah.
Thank you. It's like the part of it, this is the part we want to talk about. And you're like, what about the whole album? No, let's just go back on that.
Yeah.
A bit, not always, but a bit inspiration, porny.
Yeah,
disability
inspiration.
porny. Oh, yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
want to talk about, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about how you've suffered, which is not situation isn't that because we're talking about disability. This is what this situation is. Whereas
No,
when
this
it's
is
like
tokenistic, actually.
yeah, this is
We don't get
Dylan,
shit.
you're very-
I'm just doing it to get listens.
Do you know we are 100% tokenistic?
But like, yeah, I feel like, you know, especially with the album, you know, I was doing album interviews and I was like, okay, you know, I've worked on this album for 2 years, so many elements. And then it would sometimes, and not always, like feel like, oh, like I really would love to talk about something else. Like I would like to be able to talk about how I made that or why I made that, rather than like, because one interview was like, oh, can you tell me a moment that was really hard for you with autism? And I was like, I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
I can tell you 10 great things if you want.
Well, like not even that,
yeah,
just like,
I know what you
just
mean.
like, okay, I don't know. One time a noise was too loud. Is that what you want?
And then the producers in the background going, play Coldplay, fix you underneath it.
Which is, and it's people trying to understand, and it's people trying to like talk about, I think, what it's like, do the right thing, but they're just like.
That was my question about it, because you interviewed me.
Oh, yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yeah,
Did you
that
see
was
how much
fun.
love we got for that?
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, people
All
were
the
nice
music
about that.
mags and that wrote about it. It was really nice. But it was about disability, and obviously Alex talked about octopus and stuff, and we like interviewed me, but it was a bit of back and forth. It was way better than this one because Angus is here now.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to ruin the established groove,
Need
guys.
to get more
We had
disorders.
I
such
know.
a beautiful chat about it, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been ourselves. I was going to ask you, how do people, when they're interviewing you, go about talking about it? Do like tiptoe around it? They don't really go in, like, because that's what I got interviewed yesterday, and they said the word differently abled like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I let it slide because I was like, I just don't want to be an idiot here. And I was like, I'm just going to stop you there. Just say disabled. It's okay.
fine.
Like, I'm disabled. And that's cool. And let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
But don't say differently able one more time because I can't.
Freaking me out.
It's just, you know what I mean? Yeah. And did you find now that when people started interviewing pre and post you having, knowing they had autism, they kind of wigged out and changed a bit?
Yeah, definitely. And it's, I don't know, it's a really funny thing because I've had the whole experience, like we talked about in that thing about like coming out.
Yeah.
And like, it was weirdly similar. Like,
Yeah, it was similar to when you came out as LGBTQI?
yeah, because I mean, people, I think, know, like, I mean, they're not going to be like, when did you first kiss a girl? Like, they know that that's not okay to say to someone that's a stranger. Like, but like with the autism thing, it's like they had a little bit more.
It's less personal in their head.
Audacity.
No,
Yeah.
lack of understanding, so they are a bit more blunt. I would say.
And you're like, whoa, okay, yep, let's go there. And like,
That's so interesting. I love that. I haven't talked about that before.
Well, I can tell you that I would feel more comfortable as a leading question, or even a question, because I did radio for 15 years. It was my job to interview artists.
Yeah.
I would definitely go for a question about autism over relationship and sexuality first. And I would think, and I've spoken about this, I had blinkers on, so I wasn't disability knowledge only since knowing Dylan the last 4 years that we started this podcast as well. But I would have thought that I was getting on side with you by sort of being empathetic to your disability.
That's so interesting because that's what I feel. It's like, I don't know. I think it's one of those things. It's very nuanced, and I think similarly to sexuality and gender and all of that stuff, it's like when you're writing the questions down, you might be like, oh, this is what I should be asking about. This is a really good thing to ask about. But then when you, I think, step back and go, oh my God, there's a person in front of me who actually might, not want to talk about their ASD or not want to talk about their sexuality today, or what would that mean to them? Why might they? Because why are we talking about their sexuality? Oh, because it's, you could be killed in a lot of countries because of your sexuality. It's really hard. Should you bring up that? Should you bring up autism? This person might have had this experience. And I think people just go, oh, my audience, I think there's just a disconnect with the humanity in the stories of sexuality or disability or stuff like that.
I think I know why too. Because of
So true, by the way.
Because of people, the LGBTQI community has been normalised, and you can't go, hey, you're gay, what's that like, or whatever. But you can say, hey, autism, what's that like? It's because there aren't enough voices from the disability community educating people that that's probably not the best way to go about it. Another reason why, and I've told you this already personally and publicly, that I was really proud of you to be your friend, because you were like, got diagnosed, you're like, I'm going in, I'm going to talk about this, because that's powerful. Yeah. Because you're an incredible artist, award winner, like you're killing it. A lot of people wouldn't go out publicly because they're worried about that bias they might face now because of questions like that, where you're like, hey, I don't want to just talk about octopus all the time anymore. Like, you know?
Or also things are going well. Like, you know, your music career, Alex the Astronaut, before you even found out or before you went public with it, it's like people have a perception of who I am. Is that going to change their perception of who I am, or will people treat me differently? Could be interesting.
Yeah, well, like for me with the sexuality thing, that was, I mean, it's different for everyone obviously, but that was much more difficult for me. And maybe it's because I did Not Worth Hiding first and then Octopus, so I knew what it was going to be like. But I think for Not Worth Hiding, it was at a time where there was a yes and no campaign. There was people, you know, publicly advertising against same-sex marriage, and there was a full thing going on where people were saying why they don't like you publicly. Whereas with Octopus, you know, I've never seen people come out and go, we hate autistic people in that way. Like we hate them and this is why.
Tell you what, when that happens, it's going to be a great song.
It would be hectic.
That Baptist church in America isn't on the corner with their placard saying, autistic people are going to hell.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Westboro Baptist
And so that
Church.
was like, that. I think like for me, it was quite, I've had good amount of prep, I guess, going into it. Like I've had that experience, and then, I guess it's gotten a lot. It's changed phenomenally in the last 5 years with sexuality. And I think that like can sometimes be missed because it's like, no, it's all good now. But actually, 5 years ago, you know, people were saying we would like you not to be talking.
I use that example but what do you want, disability in 5 years?
Yeah.
I want exactly that.
Yeah.
Like the normalisation that has had for the LGBTQI community is what I want for disability.
Yeah.
When Alex rolls in to get a job, you're like, g'day Alex, no one cares anymore. Back in the day I was like, oh, Alex is here.
But they do still care.
Yeah, of course they care, and they're always going to care, but with disability it's like such a big thing.
It is, yeah.
And it's been normalised a bit more. And also, if you're homophobic as a business now, you rightfully will get cancelled in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
You know, and like disability, people get discriminated every day and it just gets swept under the rug because there aren't, and that's where I wanted to get to. Obviously, got a long way to go in both areas. But that we would love to, we'd love to catch up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into our ball of uncomfortable because it's a question, Alex, that we have people send to us, or Dylan and I come up with the question ourselves. It sometimes could be a question that would be uncomfortable in a conversation that wasn't around disability and what we're talking about. And Dylan and I believe that by making, you know, what some people might think is an uncomfortable question comfortable, it might help along the journey of other people who are listening. And because we're in this topic, this is a question that we got through from Trent. Trent asks, I'm not sure if I'm not meant to say your name, Trent. Sorry. No. Trent asks, Alex.
Redacted.
Did you just out
Redacted.
Trent?
Well, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't think he said I want to be anonymous. He definitely didn't say I want to be anonymous.
It's the first name. It says your last name.
Okay, Trent. Okay.
You didn't actually give his passport
His
number.
license number. Yeah.
You're all good.
Is there any relationship between your autistic self and your sexual preference? Statistics show that people with autism are more likely to be gay, bi, or bisexual, or fluid with their gender identity. Now, I wanted to find out what he was.
Stat?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, I've never heard of that.
I actually, I read a few things about this because I was confused, and I was like, why would there be a tie? And I mean, I don't know for me, because it's just like I knew that
Who cares? Yeah, it's just what you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go, oh, well, now I would like.
Yeah.
But I read somewhere, and I don't know the source on this, but that because of the relationship with sociocultural norms that's different between neurotypical people and neurodiverse people, because neurotypical people are like, we've got these rules built in. We need to stick to these. It's very important to us that we stick to these to fit into the thing. Whereas people that have autism are less likely to abide by them because they don't have them built in. So when they're taught, you
just love anybody, whatever. Yeah.
You can't be attracted to this person. You can be attracted to this person. You can't have this, it's less likely to get pushed down by that whole system,
what society pushes on us.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like where,
well, it's like you see a lot of gay people come out. Like my old housemate in Adelaide, his partner came out at 60 with 4 kids, knew he was gay his whole life. But he's a farmer in Adelaide, and he's like, society would not accept me. So, and his family still didn't. He waited for his parents to die before he came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I guess, so I read that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I wanted to find out. And I think it was Cambridge, which puts a lot of esteem in it, but it was a survey of only 1,200 people, which is not a big enough social pool for me. So of 1,200 able-bodied versus people who are autistic, and I think their statistic was men are 3.5 times more likely to be part of the LGBTQI community, and women 3 times.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That fits with that.
I like that explanation. Yeah.
For someone who's...
I know you like a good theory,
We love a good theory.
Yeah.
For someone who's not new to the disabled world, because you've been doing it for 27 years, but you just found out you are.
Yeah.
Gigi explained it really well. I know you are very bright. But just with the books, with the rule book and that, I was like, because we often get asked a lot about people in neurodiverse and like explaining what it's like.
Yeah.
Just us nodding, we're like, that's so true about the social norms, because you don't follow those rules, so you feel a bit looser to make those decisions. Yeah. Which I really can see and relate to. That's cool.
Yeah. And it also comes around, I mean, the old nature versus nurture. I mean, we are, nature is who we are as a person. People are born gay, but, nurture tells us not to be part of that community because it's boys and girls, and that's what the push. And it's pushed, it really is pushed on us still to this day. I mean, I look at, religion as well. I went to a private boys' school. I knew I was an athist, but they were like, you will do double RE. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So there I am learning about Noah's Ark for the second time that week.
Before we let you go, I got one more question. Obviously, people with ASD, loud noises and all that, it makes it really quite hard. And you chose music, right? It's kind of like me choosing to be a stair runner. Not my skills.
Yeah.
When you were like, did you just come to you? Like you just, you love it so much, you're doing it, and I'm going to put up with all the side notes that make it hard? Or
my friend is studying music therapy, and she said this really great thing, because I was like, there's so many people with autism, or that we might think that have autism within the music community, within creatives. You meet some people and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I think that could be going on here. And like, she said that because you're in control of the noise, it changes your relationship with it.
Great way to put it.
And I thought that was so clever. Like you can build that up. And like we had... I played in Adelaide the other day, and in the sound check, parents, I think there were 3 kids with ASD. They were like, one of them really liked Octopus. Could they come and see the show? And we're like, they can't be around these hooligans.
I think it was Unibar, yeah.
Yeah, it was Unibar. So it was not a good place for an 8-year-old. And we took them into sound check, and they came up on stage and we were giving them, and one little boy, he really hated the low frequency sounds. But when Vlada, who's my bass player, gave him the bass and he started playing it, he was okay.
Awesome.
Because he could understand where the sound came from.
Because he was in control of it. He could play it and he could change the things, and he was like, I like this one. And I think that's why for people with ASD, music therapy is important, because, and like you can, it's not overcoming anything. Like I think that's the difference for me. It's not like there's different things that I have to deal with going on stage. Like if someone starts playing a strobe light, which happened in Adelaide, like someone accidentally put the strobe light on and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to forget all the words. But it's just like, no strobe lights? And then that's the answer. Whereas a neurotypical person, they probably haven't got the capacity to go and sit down for 10 hours and learn one piece of music in the same way that I might.
The concentration that you have
flip
for something.
And look at the things that I might be able to do versus a neurotypical musician. It's like they're probably actually having more trouble doing it than I do.
Great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's our perception, isn't it, really, of our situation. What a beautiful way to end. That was a lovely story.
Thank you so much.
I'm very lucky to call you mate, Alex.
Oh, thanks, guys. This has been lovely.
We've been trying to track you down for a while, and you're well, that sounds weird.
How did you track me?
Well, you've got 12 shows.
We just wanted you to come on the podcast.
You've actually put something in your shoe.
You've actually got an Apple tag and those new dock buttons.
Cool.
Yeah, we put it in there.
If I lose anything, just let me know.
I'll let you know.
You lose that shoe, we'll find it for you.
Disordered and disorganised.
Yeah, triple D. I think we got the 3.
Yeah, I like
3 Ds. Alex the Astronaut, of course, if you're not following yourself on Instagram, the link is going to be below. We'll also put a direct link because some people have trouble with certain finding stuff on YouTube.
Yes.
We'll chuck Octopus and your Spotify and Apple links all below to find them immediately so you can enjoy the music. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing not only just your disability story, but that was just a great
Thank you so much.
It was 50 minutes and I was like,
wow,
shit.
it's already 50
there
minutes.
we go.
Yeah.